This is IGN.
Coming up, it's an all things Superman IGN Daily Update special. A review of the film is coming up, but first, as James Gunn prepares to kick off the rebooted DC universe with Superman, the DC Studios co-CEO has said each movie in the works will be tonally different, so don't expect an all-star Superman-inspired DCU. Speaking to IGN on the Superman red carpet, Gunn said that every DCU project has its own stamp, so Grant Morrison's hugely influential All-Star Superman, which heavily inspired his new Superman film, won't be used as the basis for the DCU overall. I mean, it's this movie, Gunn said of the All-Star Superman's influence. It's really important to me that every project has its own stamp on it. This movie is very different from the R-rated movie we're making, a body horror movie with Clayface. It's very different from the Sergeant Rock movie we're developing. It's very different from Supergirl, which is a space fantasy. Craig Gillespie just walked by here a second ago, who directed that. So every one of these movies is completely different. As well as casually confirming the Sergeant Rock movie is still in the works amid development trouble, Gunn pointed to the strategy employed by DC Comics, which sees works of various tones released within its own universe as the template he wants to employ for the DCU. Gunn recently said rumors surrounding exactly how much money it needs to make in order to be considered successful are wide off the mark. For more, let's check out our IGN review of Superman, wherein our critic Tom Jorgensen hails Gunn's first film as a wonderfully entertaining, heartfelt cinematic reset for the Man of Steel, and a great new start for the DC universe on the big screen. Remember, Superman opens nationwide in theaters and IMAX on July 11th. The DCU takes flight, and it's more than worth a look up. This is your IGN review of Superman by Tom Jorgensen. Superman is one of the most enduring figures in all of pop culture, a mythic symbol of truth, justice, and the American way, without which the very idea of a superhero as we know it wouldn't exist, or, for that matter, the phrase truth, justice, and the American way. James Gunn's new big-screen take on the character finds itself questioning what place such an idealistic elemental hero could possibly have in our complicated modern world, and how those battered yet timeless values fit into a blockbuster that also shoulders the burden of launching an entire cinematic universe. It should come as little surprise that the man who turned one of Marvel's most obscure teams into beloved roller coaster headlining A-listers figured out how to make Superman soar once again, and the movie gets both the DCU and David Corn's what's sure to be long reign as the Man of Steel off to a great start. Gunn grapples with Superman's mythic status by fully embracing it, giving the details of Kal-El's origins no more screen time than some brief opening on-screen text. 20-plus years after X-Men and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies ushered in the age of superhero cinema, Superman takes for granted that its audience will feel at home in a world where gods, monsters, and even superdogs named Krypto are a fact of life, and confidently uses that to spectacular effect. What immediately sets Gunn's Superman apart from its forebears is the breadth of comic book history that it openly and passionately pulls from, leaning heavily into more colorful, cosmic, and pulpy elements than any big-screen Superman before. Literally, this is the most vibrant superhero movie since, well, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gunn comes ready to solve the problem of world building by dropping us directly into a world that's already built. Our earliest moments with Superman are spent in the aftermath of a battle he's already fought. Lex Luthor has already been studying the Kryptonian strengths and weaknesses from afar for years, and Clark Kent's relationship with his hard-nosed partner in journalism, Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan, is several months old. Even the nuances of privatized superheroism are quickly established in the middle of a kaiju fight, as Supes and the corporate capes at the Justice Gang bicker over best practices. This leaves Superman feeling like both Gunn and Warner Brothers reckoning with all the success they've seen, or in Gunn's case furthered, on the part of Marvel Studios, and the smart bets they place on how much we'll accept as natural to this new continuity without the need to stop down and explain every little thing pay off. It's an optimistic calculation, and it fits in well because optimism is the name of the game in Superman. That hopefulness is anchored by a knockout performance from Cornswet. He brings a ton of confident swagger to Superman, perfectly balanced with an old-fashioned tendency to let slip a good gosh or a what the hey in lieu of a curse word. His take on Superman lives in these idiosyncrasies, frequent reminders of Clark's humble upbringing that do wonders for keeping the question of humanity and what that means in Clark's case in the mix. The lines between Superman and Clark are quite blurry here, especially since Clark spends half his screen time with Lois, and the Daily Planet reporter already knows he's Superman by this point. Brosnahan evokes Lois's weary, wily personality well, and an early scene where Superman grants her an interview, which quickly spins into a lovely verbal battle where the complicated dynamics that underpin their budding relationship rear their head, does a fantastic job of establishing the two stars' chemistry. At the same time, Clark's refusal to acknowledge the downsides to his recent intervention in a foreign border conflict goes a long way to making the God among men fallible. Superman's arch-nemesis Lex Luthor has his thumb firmly on the scale of the Baravia conflict, and Nicholas Holt's take on the billionaire supervillain straddles a fine line. The character reads as simultaneously impressive and pathetic. Increasingly befuddled as to why his inventions and discoveries aren't enough for the world, Lex is nakedly jealous of Superman and seems about 3 seconds from going haywire over it at any given moment. Holt has a ton of fun playing with that unpredictability, and Gunn uses the actor's excellent comedic timing to great effect by having Lex punctuate his tantrums with petty final jabs or tossed-off comments which are funny only to himself and, again, us. As for how that action is covered, Gunn reinforces the human element amid all the mid-air brawls and collapsing skyscrapers. Lots of it is tied closely to the characters' perspectives in physical space, which gives some of the big fights a more immersive feel than other recent comic book movies, something also helped subtly by some great lighting choices that blend visual effects and the practical photography together convincingly. The camera races alongside Superman and carries the momentum of his big punches through buildings and concrete as he tussles with the bad guys. John Murphy and David Fleming's guitar-heavy score gives these scenes an impressive sense of gravity, and that extends to the emotional moments too. Although Murphy and Fleming quote John Williams' original Superman theme liberally, Gunn is more judicious with his crate-digging, mixtape-making sensibility this time out. That makes their driving and inspiring compositions all the more important. Keeping the focus on what the stirring music is revealing about the characters and what the dialogue isn't feels like the right move for a movie where sometimes words fail and the heartstrings sound out the loudest. Superman is a wonderfully entertaining, heartfelt cinematic reset for the Man of Steel, and a great new start for the DC universe on the big screen. David Cornswet is a natural, benevolent Superman. Nicholas Holt's egomaniacal Lex Luthor gives him the perfect foil, and by minute 2, you'll be willing to burn 1,000 Kryptons if it means saving Supes' chaotic good boy companion Krypto the Superdog. Director and DCU maestro James Gunn throws a lot at us here, and trusts that decades of practice watching superhero movies will carry us through any storytelling corners he's cutting in favor of keeping the pace brisk and the fun abundant. It's a dense and at times overwhelming adventure, but it feels like the right one for the moment. Superman's IGN score? 8 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Superman updates, visit us at IGN.com. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.